When most people think of World War II, images of tanks, ration books, and blackouts come to mind. Rarely do we consider the quiet, persistent work that kept millions of families alive, farming. Food wasn't just sustenance, it was survival. Victory gardens, home plots, and small-scale farms weren't hobbies, they were lifelines. These practices weren't perfect or glamorous, but they worked under pressure, scarcity, and constant uncertainty. Many of these techniques are still relevant today for anyone interested in resilience, self-sufficiency, or practical survival knowledge. Victory gardens were more than just a morale booster. Across the United States, Britain, and even occupied Europe, victory gardens became a nationwide phenomenon. Families turned yards, vacant lots, and schoolyards into vegetable plots. The purpose was twofold: supplement rationed food and keep civilians engaged with productive work. These gardens emphasized crop rotation, companion planting, and soil enrichment techniques that maximized yield in limited space. They were small but incredibly productive. Today, urban and suburban gardeners can apply the same principles. Raised beds, vertical planting, and companion crops can turn even tiny plots into food security tools. Preserving food wasn't optional, it was survival. Canning, drying, and pickling were everyday skills, not weekend hobbies. Families relied on jars, salt, sugar, and vinegar to preserve vegetables, fruits, and even meats. These preservation methods allowed families to store food for winter or transport it when needed. During the Second World War, preservation techniques really focused on safety, efficiency, and, well, keeping things simple. There's still a lot we can learn from these old methods, whether you're a gardener or a survivalist today. Pressure canning was used for vegetables. Fermenting vegetables gave folks probiotics, and drying herbs and grains helped extend the life of food, without needing electricity or any modern gadgets. Crop diversity was honestly a lifesaver back then. It reduced risk and made sure nutrition needs were met. Relying on just one crop or monoculture was a pretty risky move during wartime. A single pest outbreak or disease could completely wipe out a family's only food supply. So, families would plant a variety of crops to spread out that risk potatoes for calories, beans for protein, greens for vitamins, and berries that could be stored for the long haul. Diversification wasn't just about risk. It meant families could keep harvesting throughout the whole season. For today's growers, this idea fits perfectly with permaculture principles and resilience farming. Planting a mix of crops really boosts soil health, cuts down on pest problems, and, well, makes sure you've got nutrition covered even if a few crops don't make it. Animal husbandry was scaled to survival, not profit. Many families raised chickens, rabbits, goats, or even pigs in small backyards or sheds. These animals provided eggs, meat, and dairy, often replacing scarce rationed products. Importantly, WWII-era livestock practices emphasized efficiency. Feed scraps were recycled, space was optimized, and animals were integrated into the overall farm system. Today, small-scale backyard poultry or micro-livestock can supply protein and fertilizer while teaching self-sufficiency skills that survive economic or supply chain disruptions. Soil management was an everyday concern. Fertilizers and chemical interventions weren't widely available, so families relied on composting, crop rotation, and cover crops. Kitchen scraps, manure, and green waste were regularly added to the soil. Legumes like beans and peas fixed nitrogen naturally, while rotating root crops prevented depletion of specific nutrients. Modern gardeners can, apply the same principles with compost bins, worm farms, and seasonal cover crops to build healthy soil without synthetic inputs. Seed saving preserved genetic and economic security. Seeds weren't just items for the next planting season, they were insurance. Families carefully collected, dried and stored seeds from the best plants each year. This preserved varieties adapted to local conditions and reduced dependence on external suppliers. Today, seed saving remains a critical skill for anyone interested in sustainability or resilience. It allows gardeners to maintain hardy, locally adapted crops and ensures long-term productivity without relying on commercial seeds. Community collaboration really amplified individual efforts. WWII farming wasn't done in isolation at all. Neighbors shared seeds, compost and labor. Community canning events, cooperative chicken flocks and shared tools were all pretty common. These collaborative practices increased productivity, reduced individual burden, and created social bonds that, honestly, enhanced survival. Modern survivalists and gardeners can definitely learn from this approach. Forming local gardening cooperatives or community-supported agriculture groups not only multiplies output, but also builds networks of trust and skill sharing. All 7 of these World War II farming secrets have enduring value. They show that survival and productivity depend on a mix of practical skills, thoughtful planning, and social cooperation. Anyone interested in resilience can benefit from small, well-maintained gardens, careful preservation, diversified crops, micro-livestock, composting, seed saving, and community collaboration. While modern technology offers convenience, it doesn't replace the lessons of observation, adaptation, and ingenuity learned under wartime necessity. By understanding how families survived food shortages during World War II, we gain tools that work in any era. Even small actions, a raised bed of vegetables, a jar of pickles, a saved seed, carry forward centuries of practical knowledge. History proves that self-reliance is not about hoarding technology, but about mastering the fundamentals that sustain life under pressure. World War II. Farming secrets are not just historical curiosities. They are practical strategies for anyone who wants to eat well, prepare for uncertainty, and live sustainably. Implementing them today connects us to the resilience of the past while building security for the future. Subscribe to Strange History for more deep dives into historical survival techniques, forgotten skills, and practical lessons from the past that still work today. Share this episode with others who want to learn how history can make us stronger, smarter, and more self-sufficient in the modern world.